Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back, putting a positive spin on Rocky 5. Released in 1990, Rocky 5 is the only 90s Rocky movie we ever got. It wasn't until 2006 when Rocky Balboa was released. Now, obviously, there's a huge difference between the two. Rocky Balboa is universally loved and considered to be one of, if not the best Rocky sequel for many, while Rocky 5 is universally hated and shunned. Admittedly, Rocky 5 would rank last in my Rocky franchise ranking, but that doesn't mean I hate it. And it certainly doesn't mean it deserves hate from everyone else. Remember, these positive spin videos are not meant to be a debate or to tell anyone they're wrong for disliking a film. If you hate it, you hate it. We're not trying to change your opinion on that. Jason and I are, however, simply telling you what we like about these films. Rocky 5, in my opinion, has a lot of positives, which are usually overlooked because of all the hate it receives. This movie does something different. It takes the characters in a new direction. It makes sense considering everything that came before this one. It was time to try something new. Sure, it may not have landed with a lot of you, but it works for me. Again, I say this after admitting Rocky 5 would be my least favorite in the franchise, but I still don't hate it. I love that the director of the original Rocky returned for this one. It's sort of full circle, and it fits the theme of the movie. That's exactly what this is. In Rocky 5, Rocky returns to his roots, not by choice, but by necessity. Instead of seeing Rocky as the fighter and the champion, we see him in Rocky 5 as the trainer and the family man. It pays homage to Mickey, which I think is really cool, and there's a nice poignant scene early in the film. As someone who gets emotional with other Rocky movies, especially the original and Rocky Balboa, it's hard for me not to get emotional during this one as well. We see our hero hit the absolute rock bottom, lower than we've ever seen him before. But since so many of you hate this sequel, I have to assume you've seen it. So, on to my positives. I love that Rocky 5 picks up right where Rocky 4 left off, that night. I love the urban setting, the return to the slums of Philadelphia. It's like watching the setting of the original Rocky all these years later. Rocky and Adrian is maybe one of the greatest cinematic couples of all time, and their relationship really shines in this one. She is so supportive. It's also really cool, and sad in a way, to see the late Sage Stallone take on a larger role in this sequel. I love the relationship between father and son. The character of Tommy Gunn, while not necessarily acted exceptionally, does have a presence about him. He was a rising boxing star at the time in real life, and just a few years after this movie was released, would become the heavyweight champion of the world. I love that flashback scene I mentioned earlier with Rocky and Mickey. The Duke character is cheesy, but definitely a product of its time. Again, this was 1990. They were clearly going for a Don King sort of character with him. And let's be honest, he's a good villain. You want to see him get slugged in the gut. The naivete of Rocky in this is pretty sad, as he works with the young Tommy Gunn. Paulie knows what's going to happen. His family sees it too. But Rocky is so confident in Tommy that he lets his guard down. That's what makes the fight scene at the end so satisfying. That fight scene, by the way, as cheesy as it is in the streets, is probably one of the best choreographed fight scenes in the entire franchise. It's just a raw, gritty, bare-knuckle street fight. It's cool to see a young Kevin Connolly, who played Eric in Entourage, as a friend of Rocky Jr. There is some great dialogue in Rocky V, especially from Rocky himself. I loved seeing the pet store again, where Adrian returns to work, and the scene when she finds her glasses in the attic, and Rocky takes them off of her and kisses her again, just like in the original. As such a big fan of the original Rocky, it's hard not to like this one, to some extent. And I absolutely love the closing credits as well, with the Elton John song playing over it, Measure of a Man. I sort of ruined that song for Jason while we were watching this, but I won't say how. Something to keep in mind with Rocky V is I feel a lot of people try comparing it to the other Rocky films, and that's only natural. But, like I always say, sometimes movies need to be judged on their own merits. Just because Rocky V exists doesn't mean the other Rocky films cease to exist. You can still watch those and love them, and watch this one and enjoy it for what it is. Yes, it's different, but that's okay. Not all change has to be bad. I almost forgot to mention maybe one of the most impressive things of all about Rocky V, and that's the pacing. The movie has an approximate runtime of 1 hour and 44 minutes, but it absolutely flies by. It's paced really well. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot another positive. The Christmas scene. I love Christmas scenes in movies, and Rocky V has a great Christmas scene. Yo, yo, yo. One last positive I need to mention. I'm not sure Rocky Balboa would have had the same impact it has had it not been for Rocky V. If Rocky Balboa followed Rocky IV, we would have gone from Rocky in the ring to Rocky returning to the ring, with nothing in between. Rocky V, in my opinion, is a good transition or bridge film between the two. That is hugely significant and a big positive. Rocky V is probably your least favorite in the franchise, as it is mine, but I still really enjoy it. You don't have to agree though. This is just my positive spin. Be sure to check out Jason's as well, and let me know your thoughts on Rocky V in the comments below. To which hated movie will we next give a positive spin? Check back soon to find out. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and be kind. Subscribe.